Okay, so we're getting rolling here on a Monday morning, Closers Cafe. If you want to come hang out in the room so you can see my screen and interact with other agents, you can join our free school community. If you're watching on TikTok, that would be in the profile, in my profile, the link in bio. And if you're watching on one of the other streams, just go to the description. Just go to the description. We're going to get started in the Zoom room at the top of the hour. And you can come hang out in there for free. Just come join the school community. I'm going to be unpacking how one engaged seller lead, an absentee owner, turned into multiple listing opportunities and clients. Should be fun. And there will be some actionable items that you can take the ball and run with as well. So go ahead and come hang out. Come join our free school community. If you're watching on TikTok, the link is in bio. If you're watching on one of the other streams, it is in the description. Let me get in here and get the ball rolling. Good morning. Test. Okay, just making sure my microphone is working on the live streams. If you are in, watching on one of the live streaming platforms, if you're on TikTok, you can go to the link in bio and join the school community and come hang out in the room with us, see the screen, interact, etc. And if you're watching on one of the other lives, that link should be in the description. And we'll get started in about a minute. Let's see here. That's right. Yep. They're each their own unique link, but they're in school, just like a unique Zoom link, basically. Functions. That's weird. Well, their live streaming platform is still relatively new. So, for example, I believe at the end of this, you will see a spot where you can provide feedback. I don't think it's just me when I end it. I think if you're watching, you also get it. And so that might be a good place to put that feedback, because they are very attentive to that. And in other words, they want feedback because they want to continue to make the platform better for all parties. So could be worthwhile. And again, I think you see it when I end it. I think it's not just me, but it might be. I don't know, because I haven't been a participant on the other end on many of these. Okay, one last call to action over here. TikTok, you can join our school community. The link is in my bio. You'll be able to see my screen, interact with others. And if you're watching on one of the other live streams on YouTube or Facebook, etc., the link is in the description. I'm going to make sure that I record, because I forgot last week, at least one of the times, to do that. So let me make sure that that is good to go. All right, recording live, and away we go. This morning, This morning, I'm going to share a couple of different things. But first and foremost, I'm going to share how one engaged seller lead has turned into multiple listing opportunities and multiple client opportunities when you kind of pull the thread and go the extra mile. And I'll unpack exactly what that means and what that looks like. I am also going to close the loop on last week's live prospecting session. So last week on Wednesday, I was live prospecting senior owners. And that's the one that I forgot to record. You can check out the replay, however, in or on my YouTube channel. It just doesn't have the screen share. Live and learn. Better next time. Anyway, I want to close the loop on that because that live session, by all accounts, was not very productive. In other words, I didn't get or have many conversations or connections on the live stream. And yet, within 48 hours, actually, I think within 24 hours, it had significantly changed for the better. And I want to share that as well. A good reminder this morning that process, I'll say that both of these, quite honestly, are relevant, but process and progress over perfection. Process and progress over perfection. And by process, I mean that Wednesday session last week, live prospecting, I just stuck to the process. I just was doing the work. And in real time, it didn't seem very productive or fruitful. And then within 24 hours, that all changed because I focused on the process and didn't worry about perfectly executing this, that, or the other thing, because there is no perfect. So just focus on the process, doing the work. And eventually, over time, that process will turn into progress and good things are going to happen. So I'm actually going to go in reverse order here. I have this. I'm going to come back to this. Okay, and update those numbers. But I want to start with this. So this is now week three of Ed working on my team to do cold outreach using LeadDeck on my behalf. So his goal, his one sort of focus, his process is to use LeadDeck to reach out and bring me back warm, engaged leads. And I don't think it was last week. I think it was late the week before that. He sent me a warm, engaged lead, a guy by the name of Harold. Harold owned a parcel of vacant land in Perry County. And Ed was reaching out about that parcel of vacant land. I really like work in vacant land, whether I list it or we purchase it, make some improvements, etc. I just like that asset class. And what's interesting about vacant land is they're also absentee owned, which means it's generally speaking not the only property they own, and there's lots of benefits from that. So Ed sent me this warm, engaged lead. His name is Harold. And I'm going to stop my screen share because you don't need to be staring at this the whole time. So his name is Harold, and I called him, and I got the scoop. So I got the insider intel from Harold, and it seemed like an incredible opportunity. So much so that I was already getting ready, lined up for I have a funding partner that I do some of those deals with on vacant land, and I was getting him teed up for it. Well, I then started to pull the thread. Okay, I started to pull the thread. What do I mean by that? I started to do the underwriting, the due diligence, etc. on this property. First and foremost, I called the township or borough, I don't remember, and I wanted to talk to zoning. And I found out very quickly that there's not much you can do with this parcel. So this is a parcel that has a well and septic, but it's an old well and septic, and there was a mobile home that was pulled off of the parcel 7 or 8 years ago. And that parcel is now non-conforming. In other words, it's not big enough to really do anything with, because according to the zoning, you can't, without, you would have to get a variance to be able to put something back on. And the zoning officer pretty much said, you can try, but you're not going to get one. So I was like, okay, thank you for your honesty. But I had a good connection with Harold, and he was clearly very motivated. So instead of just saying, well, there's nothing I can do, I put on my problem-solving cap, similar to James's hat this morning. And I decided to figure out, where might there be an opportunity with this? And quite honestly, if I'm being truly honest, and why wouldn't I be, right? I probably would have done this anyway, but the zoning officer made it easier for me to connect the dots, because one of the things she said was it probably only has value to a neighbor. And she said, I'm looking at the parcel map, and there's a guy that owns the one to the right, and that would make his way more valuable. And then some conservancy owns the parcel on the left. They're probably not going to be interested. So I thought, well, let's try and track down the guy on the right. See what we can do. So I used LeadDeck to skip trace, and I also used some other skip tracing strategies. I put my private investigator hat on, because it wasn't real easy to find the guy that owned the property on the right. His name was Art. And somehow or another, I called Art's buddy. I have no idea why, but somehow Art's buddy is one of the numbers that showed up when skip tracing for Art. And he called me back. We had a fun conversation. He was a great guy. I must have made a decent impression with him, because Art called me last week. Art called me back last week. I was never able to track him down, and the phone number he called me on wasn't anywhere on the skip tracing. I don't know why, but it wasn't. So he calls me back. He said, yeah, you talked with my buddy so-and-so. He said you seemed like a good guy, so I figured I'd call. He says, yeah, I tried to buy that parcel from Harold a couple of years ago, and it just didn't work out, etc. And we're talking about small, like chump change. These are small numbers that what Harold's looking for and what Art was willing to pay. And also, Art revealed in the conversation that he's an investor. He does fix and flips. He has other properties. And oh, by the way, he tells me, and it just so happens that I'm looking for a new real estate agent to work with, because the real estate agent I used to work with is my wife, but we're getting divorced. So that's not going to work anymore. So beautiful. I now have a card in my hand. I've got an active investor, and he let me know that he has a flip that he just finished recently that is under contract and settling. I think it was at the end of this month. And so I've got a new buyer in hand. Rather than me try to get like a little bit of money from matching them up, because I'm talking like Harold's willing to pay like $5,000 to $10,000 for this lot. I'm sorry, Art is willing to pay $5,000 to $10,000 for this lot. Harold said $20,000, but then when I called him back, he was like, well, just, let's just make me an offer. Rather than me try to get compensated on this, I decided I'm just going to put the two of them together and let them know, like proactively document and demonstrate, proactively let them know, hey guys, I'm not looking for anything out of this. I just, I know that your lot makes his lot more valuable, and Harold, I know that you want to sell it. So I just connected them up. And in the conversation I had with Harold to connect them up, what comes up? Harold has an apartment complex that he is going to sell this summer. And who do you think is going to sell it? This guy. Because I connected with him, I was real and transparent, and I went out of my way to provide real value without any expectation of compensation. So that was one warm, engaged lead from Ed that is now multiple clients and multiple transaction opportunities. Just because I went and pulled the thread, because you never know where it might go. I figured, well, why don't I call the zoning? Because I'm probably going to do more transactions there anyway. Good to know what's going on, educate myself. Zoning makes a recommendation that I might have figured out on my own because I know in doing enough land transactions that is a logical buyer. You know, I've sold a number of parcels where the buyer was the neighbor because either they didn't want anybody to develop on it or they wanted to develop because they had already developed the neighboring parcel and they wanted to develop that one too, whatever. So I pulled the thread there. I pulled the thread in the sense that I did everything I possibly could to find Art. And I still didn't find him. I found Art's buddy. And because I connected with Art's buddy and we had like a fun, lighthearted conversation, he passed that along to Art and Art called me. I went back and Harold, and I wasn't being greedy. Could I have tried to like position myself as representing Harold or representing Art and get $1,000 or $2,000, commission out of it? Maybe, but we're talking about small dollars. And I did know one thing, that both of them owned more properties. So like I was giving up a little for a bigger opportunity. And, one of those a week compounded each week for a month, for a quarter, for a year, becomes like this snowball of business and clients that you can't stop even if you want to. It'll just keep compounding. It'll just keep compounding. So that's my guy, Ed. Any question on Ed's on my Ed story for this morning? I did also tease. I sent out an email update this morning with our updated weekly schedule. So I'm going to take a minute to confirm that for those. And if you're watching on TikTok, you can come join our school community where you can engage with everyone in the room here, see my screen, etc. The link is in the bio. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or one of the other live streams, the link is in the description. Our weekly calendar, at least for the foreseeable future, is Monday mornings is Closers Cafe, 9 a.m., bright and early. Knock it out. Tuesdays is our Lead Deck Lab for Founders Club members. That's at 1 Eastern on Tuesdays. Wednesdays will be live prospecting. Last week, it was senior owners. And that's what I'm going to unpack, is an update on that next. This week, I don't know what I'm open for suggestions this week. If anybody, I like to make those, just topical and relevant. And Thursdays, we're going to do our live demo and Q&A, our Lead Deck live demo and Q&A. That's at noon Eastern. So Monday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Closers Cafe. Tuesday is for our Founders Club members at 1 Eastern. Wednesdays, 11 a.m. live prospecting, 11 a.m. Eastern. And then Thursdays, noon Eastern, live demo plus Q&A. So an update from last week. I unfortunately forgot to record in the school community the session. So the slides that I was sharing in my screen sharing, you can't check out, but you can go back and watch the live stream on the Josh Shanley Coaching YouTube channel. Okay. That's my YouTube channel for other agents and sharing this kind of stuff. So you can watch that, but there's no screen share in it. On the live session, I contacted, I'm pretty sure this is accurate. I went back and recreated as best I could using the, we now have we now log your contacts in LeadDeck. So if I tap to call or tap to text or tap to email, that logs in there. So by all accounts, I had contacted in some form or another 27 senior owners last week on the session. I talked to one live, wasn't interested. I got another one that replied by text, wasn't interested. But within 24 hours, I got 4 more email replies, and I must have gotten 2 text replies. So my numbers, I might be conservative here. I might have gotten a total of 7 who responded in some form or another. But if I'm just using 6, that's a 22% response or reply rate. 22%. Now, not all of them were positive, but still, all we're trying to do is talk to more people, do the work, process. 3 of the replies were positive. So that's an 11% positive response rate. Now, that does not guarantee that I'm going to take a listing or it's going to be a transaction, but at least that said, I'm interested on some level. 2 of them said they were interested for that property. 1 of them came from me digging deeper. He replied and said, not interested in selling this one. Well, I could go and tell that he owned more properties. And just by his reply, I could sort of infer that he owned more. And I asked, do you have any others in your portfolio? And he said, well, actually, I do have a 4-bedroom that I have right now that's tenant occupied that I have been thinking about selling. 3 out of 27. Now, if I had just judged whether or not that was successful by the hour that I was live streaming and sharing that, I might have thought, well, that was a waste of time. And yet, giving it 24 hours, it turned into opportunity. Now, what happens for you in your business if you do that once a day, 3 to 4 days a week, for a month, then a quarter, then a year? Again, it just compounds. It just compounds. It just compounds. And very quickly, you'll have to be thinking about hiring someone like Ed to do this work so that you can spend more time going deeper and connecting on a deeper level with the warm, engaged leads. That's the next evolution that you'll get to sooner than later if you do the work and kind of follow the process. Questions, comments, etc. And if nothing else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit more of this work, do the work, right? And also use it as a way to show off some cool enhancements that have been made to LeadDeck, if I'm being honest. Stephanie, you said land deals. What does that mean? What do you got? You need me to unmute you? Maybe I have to unmute you. Do I have to do that? And allow audio. I may have to look at the settings. I didn't know that no, Richard, you opened your line, right? Oh, okay. Maybe Stephanie's not. Well, Stephanie, if you go ahead and share. Mark. Oh, were you asking a question or just confirming that you could open? Gotcha, Stephanie. I'm sorry. You're saying the next, so my next live prospecting to reach out to landowners. I'm up for that. I love that. So maybe we'll do that. Okay, here's what I'm gonna share some cool improvements that have been made, and then do some more of the work from last week live prospecting. For those of you who are using LeadDeck, Sean released some cool enhancements, including when you go to your dashboard now, you will see what we're calling your hot list. It is using a number of different factors and like a scoring system to bubble to the surface the people that are already in your Lead Deck account that you might want to reach back out to. What was this inspired by? Well, it was inspired in part by Janita's story and success that was shared on last week's Lead Deck Mastermind, or Lead Deck Lab Mastermind. She shared how going back through 78 leads that she had contacted that had not responded turned into, I think, 4 replies and 2 potential listing opportunities. And so we're doing what, as much as we can to help identify who those are in your account. And you can sort them by 5, 10, or 25, which is pretty cool. Now, last week when I was live prospecting, because I tend to get impatient. Oh, I'm in Ed's account. Hold on. I need to get into my own account. While I was working, I was getting frustrated with a bucket or a deck of leads that it just seemed like had minimal contact information, etc. It was this one right here. It was senior owner and tired landlord. And so I pivoted to these 2, senior owner and tax default. And I had only gotten through, I believe, about, right here, I had contacted 9 out of the 20. So what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to just select the uncontacted, and I'm going to finish closing the loop on that. Now, how did I figure that out? Well, I figured it out because A, I'm a dope. And B, I was preparing for today's session. What do I mean I'm a dope? Well, I haven't been using the checkbox to confirm when I contact or I've made an attempt to contact leads. And I was actually, this is going to be very, whatever. You guys, I think you know by now, like I'm an open book. I started to record a loom for Sean to say, hey, Sean, you know what would be cool? Can we sort by people that the system will look if there's any outreach log and check for those? And then as I was doing it, I was like, shit, there's a contacted, uncontacted. And if I just used the tool the way it's supposed to be used, I wouldn't be sending him this loom. So Sean, if you're watching, I never sent you that because I realized the error of my ways. And I went and noted, all I did to make this, to do this is I went through these 20, which took, a minute. And I looked for the ones that had a contact log, meaning if I go to this one, it says that I've emailed the 3 emails. There was 2 phone numbers. They were both on the DNC. So I didn't tap to call them or text them, but I did email them. And so I just went and marked the checkbox. So now I can finish out this list. And I think I'm just going to finish out this session by doing the rest of that from my phone. As I'm doing that, if you're watching on TikTok and you want to come hang out in our school community, the link is in my bio. If you're watching on one of the other live streams, the link is in the description. So anytime I'm switching back and forth, you always want to refresh on your phone, and all you do is log in on your preferred browser. Like there's not a formal, app. It's web-based. So I'm going to find the deck that I was working during that session. It's these 20 properties right here. It's this zip code plus their senior owner plus tired landlord. I'm going to tap on the 20 and notice I can sort by favorites. I haven't favorited any of them. I probably should because there's at least one in here that did reply. So maybe I'll have to go back through that. Actually, let's do that first. So I'm going to sort by contacted first. And let me see which of these, there's at least one of them that replied after the fact. It is not that one. So I've got 9 here that I'm just toggling through. Wasn't that one. Eric did not. Let's I think it's this one. I think it's no, it's not. I'm sorry. No, it's not. I got excited. Let's see here. Not that one either. I'm just toggling through here because I want to show another useful feature or functionality. Here, maybe I'm gonna have egg on my face. I thought there was one that had replied, but I'm not seeing the one I thought. They must have been in the other decks. Oh, nope, this is it. This is it. Perfect. So this one did reply and is open to and considering selling. So when that happens, if I hit the heart button, I can add them to my seller deck, and I can push them to my CRM once that's integrated as well, which mine is. I've already pushed this one because that's a long story, but I can push them in there, and that's one of the integrations that we set up when you're using the tool. Okay. Let me go back to the deck here. Oh, and what does that do when you add them to your master deck? These are the ones that you can look at a glance are engaged. You've connected with them. They're open to an offer or thinking about selling, etc. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the uncontacted, and we're just going to start tapping away here. I think, okay, this one is an agent. So you know what? I'm just going to keep moving along here. All right, this one, there's a mobile number. Oh, here's another enhancement that we released. It will check if the numbers are active. Now, it's still not flawless or foolproof, but it's also testing the emails. So we're trying to improve the data as well, so you can be more effective or most effective and efficient. This guy's mailing address is Phoenix, Arizona. And there's a landline that's a Phoenix number. That is definitely not the right owner. My guess is that's a tenant because it's non-owner occupied. And what I'm going to do, so on this one, I need to call him. However, it's 9:30 here, and in Phoenix, it's either 6:30 or 7:30, depending on, they don't do the daylight savings time. They don't do the whole daylight savings time. So what I'm going to do in the meantime, I do need to call him later. I'm going to make a note here. 63 F Street. Go ahead, Janita. I'm going to also add him to my absentee owner mailing list. Go ahead. Yeah, so and it's not accurate, it's whether or not it's active. So that's new. And again, it's not 100% foolproof, but it'll say active. And all of these are showing active right now. So it might be because this was run before that was added. Because I'm looking at another one and this one says all the numbers are active, but then it says the emails are untested. So it's a work in progress, but it's us trying to do everything we possibly can to provide you the best and most accurate data, and also proactively eliminate data if we can. So this actually is a good example. So that it's showing 3 active numbers. The first one's on the DNC, but it also says See, it's hiding one inactive number, which if for some reason you wanted to see that, you can still see it, but it's saying not reachable. So what will happen is it'll just go do, 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 or something like that. Yeah, it just hangs up. Okay. So it's us doing everything we can to give you the best data and eliminate data that we can where you know it's clear that it's not active or accurate. And again, it's not perfect, but it's an improvement. Let's try to call Lester. Okay, so for example, this says this is an active landline, but if I call it, it just hangs up. So it's not perfect. My guess is the phone number is still a working number, the mobile number, but it's on the DNC, so I'm going to skip it. And I'm going to skip it in part because I am 95% certain I've got a good working email for Lester because it's his name at Yahoo, and I have one that's his name at Comcast, and I have one that's his name at Gmail. One of those is his real working email, and I know that when I get the real working email, I get a very high response rate. So I'm also going to add him to my mailing list for absentee owners as well. And I'm I'm forgetting. I need to get into the habit of hitting the checkbox to mark as contacted, so then it can sort from there. Oops, hold on. Here we go. There it is. Okay, I'm going back here. I'd gotten knocked out of it. And let's see here. I did contact him. Here we go. Next one. Looks like Walter and Diana Brown. Walter and Diana Brown. It's non-owner occupied. DNC, and the emails. If I had to guess, the emails are the tenant. The first two, just by looking at the emails. However, the third email is his name at a local business that I know is still an active local business. So I've sent that, and I'm going to add to my mailing list. Absentee, and I'm going to make sure that I mark it as contacted. And so my list is dwindling down, which is good. It means I'm focused on the process, just doing the work, getting through the data, because the more I do, the more comes back. All right, so this is interesting. It's got first position, second position, fifth position, and it's marking 2 inactive that were third and fourth position. I'm going to try the landline that's not on the DNC, but it's not an active number either. And then I can hide that number too. I didn't even think of that. So you can hide, if you call a number and it's not active, you can then hide it. This is probably his email. So that's good. And I would say, so I've got a Yahoo, a Gmail, and a Comcast email, which is good. And this is non-owner occupied, in other words, absentee. So I'm going to add him to the absentee direct mail list as well. And mark it as contacted. 212 Fern Gilmore. Okay, I haven't been doing this because I haven't needed to, but this has 2 numbers and no email. So I'm going to try the enhanced on this one. Okay, look at this. Now I've got 6 phone numbers and I think a daughter's email. I think it's a daughter's email, but it's a Gmail and it's her real name, unless the wife goes by something different. So I'm going to send to those. And I've got a couple other phone numbers that I can try as well. Landline, landline, landline. They're probably not working, but we'll give it a try. Yep. No good. No good. Add to mailing list. Whoops. I keep forgetting to hit the checkbox. When you do, it just gives you a green dot. Ooh, Sally. Landline is the first number, and I think it's right because her mailing address is Florida, and it is a Florida phone number. Maybe we can get Sally. Sally, good morning. This is Josh Shanley with eXp Realty. I was calling with a question about a property I believe you still own in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, 1400 Wagoners Gap Road. If you would give me a buzz back, this is my cell phone, 717-571-0456. 717-571-0456. I wouldn't normally leave my voicemail twice, but that was very clearly like an old school answering machine. And so she may not have caller ID on the phone number that I called. She might, but I definitely have a good working number. I'm going to grab this call. Hello, this is Josh. One of our non-negotiables, right? Answer all calls and or return any missed calls if or when not possible. I said I definitely have a working number. I did have a working number, but what I was trying to say actually is I've got one of these is definitely her email. And it's 3 that are showing as tested. It's 2 Gmails and a Yahoo. And very, very likely that I've got the right person one way or the other. 630 West Lowther. Donald. Okay. One phone number, DNC. One phone number, DNC. Let's go ahead and enhance it. Now, I've got 5 total phone numbers, but they're all in the DHC except the last one. And the last one is a 505 number, which doesn't make any sense because both of the addresses are Carlisle addresses. However, I got his email. It's first name, last name at Gmail. Booyah. Does anybody even say booyah anymore? My kids would be like, what? What are you talking about? So I sent here. This is, I think this is valuable on some level. The first and the third emails are the same email. One is Don.Nichter. One is Don Nichter. So don't send both. And this one might also be the right email. These are not. Adelphia.net and at roadrunner.com or Roadrunner. Like, don't even bother. Like, it's the way, why? And I am like, if I were a betting man, and I'm not because I'm terrible, my March Madness bracket is evidence thereof. I don't even pay for any of them anymore. I only do my family one because I'm so bad at it. And I had Florida with Florida, Iowa, the guy in the corner. Anyway, where was I even going with this? Oh, if I was a betting man, which I'm clearly not, it is like it's nearly 100% certain that that's his real email. And I'm going to send him that email. And if he doesn't reply to that email, I'm going to get a nudge from Gmail later in the week. And I'm going to say, Don, ? And he'll probably reply to that one if he didn't reply or respond to the first one. And I'm in here. He's absentee owner. I'm going to add him to the absentee owner direct mail list as well. And then I'm going to make sure that I check the box because I did contact him and then hit next. Somebody open the line with a question. I've been doing it for months now, and I have not noticed anything. I can't guarantee it, but I have not noticed any impact. So I do think you need to do enough to be able to notice patterns. So this guy's name is, where's his dang name? So like I can tell that this is a good, we got Gmail. This one doesn't make any sense because it's not related to like it's not the name. So I'm going to ignore that, but I'm going to send, and these two are the same. One has a dot, one doesn't. So like if you can eliminate numbers, just skip them. But otherwise, I haven't noticed anything to be cause for concern. I will say, for whatever it's worth, I've been thinking more and more about a number of things. What a weird sentence. I'm sorry. I've been thinking a lot more, in particular, about helping those who are interested in at the level that would warrant consideration of hiring someone like Ed. What does that look like? And how do we set that up to ensure success? And part of that process would be having a dedicated line and an email channel for that person. At least if I'm thinking like absolute very best practices, and then we've got to work our way down the tree, like what making it fit whatever the circumstance is. Because right now Ed is using his phone number and his Gmail, and that's been fine and it's working, but eventually I will probably have to look at another solution. And for me, because he's local, I will probably just add a line to my business account and he'll have a dedicated phone, and we'll create a dedicated Gmail account for that as well. Like it's a simple thing, but I do think at some point I'll have to explore that. Yeah. Yeah. I will literally get him his own dedicated number and phone. Yep. And I can see his call. Like, not that I have any reason to believe he's not doing anything, but then it's even more transparency into what he's doing, because I can see what he's doing in Lead Deck, but I don't see how long the conversations are or things of that nature. There are some things that are missing there. And another thing that I need to start doing is mandating that he use the purple microphone to start recording his side of the calls as well, which is something I don't mention that often, but if you tap the purple button, it's going to record my side of the conversation. And then AI will look at the transcription and make recommendations. Who am I calling here? Yeah, I was trying to reach Eugene. Eugene, good morning. This is Josh with eXp Realty. Hey, curious, do you still own the property at 2135 Circle Road? Oh, it is. Oh, okay. So I'm guessing. Well, yeah, no, I was just calling to see if you'd be totally opposed to looking at an offer on it. But if it's not yours, gotcha. And I'm assuming she's not. Oh, interesting. And I assume you have no idea if she has any thoughts of selling. Perfect. Totally get it. I appreciate you taking the call. We'll make note of it. Thank you. So I can only guess that he was a Eugene Jr. because it's his mom's house. So I'm guessing he was a Eugene Jr. He lives right down the street, and she is not interested in selling. Such is life. Move on. I got two more before I finish this deck, and then we'll open it up if anybody else has questions, and then we'll get to work on making the week as productive as possible. All right. So I've got, pretty sure I've got good emails here. Two good emails. One probably not, but it says tested in green, so I'm going to give it a go. And then this is absentee owned. All of these are absentee owned. I don't know why I'm saying that, because this particular stack is senior owner, tired landlord. Okay, and then, whoops. I keep forgetting to tap the, boom, there we go. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. Here's the recommendation I could have made in my recording to Sean, is that it should automatically, well, actually, I'll get feedback from, does it make sense for those of you using it? Does it make sense that if there is an outreach log, that it marks them as contacted? Yeah. Why would we, right? Because if we're tracking that, we might as well automatically note that they have been contacted, because the only way we would have tapped is if we were trying to contact. That is the recommendation that I will make to Sean, unless anybody has significant opposing viewpoints. But to me, that just makes a ton of sense, for sure. One less step to worry about. Okay, last one in the deck here. Joseph Nunez. I mean, well, I mean, maybe he owns more. Maybe he owns more. I mean, and also it's an easy solve. I'm so sorry. For some reason, it was showing in one place as not having sold, and clearly, cross-checked it elsewhere. Um, I want to definitely improve that flow for expireds. There's like no perfect solution is the problem, because you have to check multiple places, and there's still something that I think we can enhance it somewhat. Instead of, so for example, instead of scrubbing on import, or scrubbing individually, scrubbing it on import against an AI search. I think there are things that we could potentially still improve that piece of the functionality of it. And also, it'll still never be perfect, because the data, no matter what provider you're using, there's going to be some yeah, yeah. Stephanie, you have an AI process for that. How are you doing that? I'm curious. I don't know if Stephanie can't open her mic or not. I don't know how you fix your mic. I'm hitting allow audio. Well, oh, it could be that. Yeah, that's a good shout. So the settings at the bottom, if you hit that, maybe it's pulling the wrong mic um, input. I know, but what I would like to do is check it on import, so it just eliminates the ones that have sold in the last 12 months or are actively listed, so you don't even have to do that. And I think what Stephanie is saying, so Stephanie, let's do this. If you could please plan to share tomorrow. Are you going to be on the Lead Deck Lab tomorrow? Because I would love for you to share that there, and then we can clip that out and share with others who are interested. I was going to say something else with that. Doggone it. I don't know. I was going to say something else with that, but I lost it out of my brain. But Mark, yeah, I think we can do a little bit better to clean it on import, so it's just so we can just be more effective and efficient. So we can eliminate the ones that, like Stuart found, which maybe there still is the case, still is some cases where it'll just, for whatever reason, it sold and it wasn't noted in some place or another, or whatever. It's not going to be perfect, but I think we could certainly improve it to a certain degree with that. So yeah, curious. I'm curious, Stephanie, the process you're using, because we might be able to build it into the tool. Anybody else? Anything before we shove off for the week? I will be tomorrow is our Lead Deck Lab for Founders Club at 1 Eastern. For those of you in Founders Club, that Zoom link, at least for the foreseeable future, won't change. So it'll be the same Zoom link. On Wednesday morning, I will do live prospecting with Lead Deck, maybe vacant land per Stephanie's suggestion. We'll see. And then Thursday at noon Eastern is our live demo and Q&A. I got this. Sometimes you have to be persistent in getting reviews from your clients. So I had a settlement last week, and it was a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? What's that? It wasn't even contentious. It's that she was a bit of a, um, what's the word I'm looking for? She was just a high touch client. She just required a high touch, and we did some, we got creative on making some improvements to help her. She was in a kind of a sticky situation as far as financially, but she was thrilled. Okay, in the end, she was thrilled, and I would say most of the time, she, in the process, she was thrilled. It was just she was stressed and so forth. And so I had asked her for a review last week, and she had not provided one. I sent her a little bump this morning, and I had to close the loop on something for her as well. So it was nice that I had a reason to be reaching out and could give her a little nudge, like, "Hey, don't forget." And then she left me a nice little 5-star on Google. I'm getting close to 100. I'm at like 95 or 96. I want to get that triple digit, hopefully sooner than later. So that's our schedule for the week and the schedule for the foreseeable future. We'll do Closes Cafe Monday mornings. We've got Lead Deck Lab for our Founders Club members on Tuesdays. We'll do the live prospecting on Wednesdays, and then the live demo and Q&A on Thursdays. For any of you in here who might be interested and want to chat about, I'll call it, participating in a beta group or plan to get you set up with someone like Ed, just reach out to me, email or DM me. We're going to be building that out, and I think for the right person, that could be exactly what they need to get to whatever that next level of listings taken and transactions closed. I would say that it really is only if if you're consistently taking 2, 3, 4 listings per month and just looking to scale that up. If not, I think you are better suited investing a month or a quarter at minimum into doing the work, so that when you find the right person, you have the skill set to be able to help direct them and train them, etc. And will be more skilled at taking the warm, engaged leads that they're bringing you and actually turn those into contracts and closings and compensation. All right. Thank you all. One last call. If you're on TikTok watching, you can come join our free school community. The link is in bio. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, etc., watching the live stream, the link is in the description. I did remember to record this, so I'll share the recording with the screen shares in our school community as soon as it's rendered. Doesn't take long, and look forward to seeing those of you who are in our Founders Club tomorrow on our mastermind. Thanks all. Let's make it a great week.